Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armory, and it just finished at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City 0, Arsenal 2. That was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. Not quite as you would usually find it, but it was a pretty intense game, I'd say. I went into this with not very much confidence at all. I was expecting, and for a lot of the game, it did seem to feel like it was going to peter out into a 0-0 draw. There's been, unless you live under a rock or you've been living under a rock for the past 2 weeks, we are currently hit with a intense injury crisis alongside the fact that we didn't sign anybody in January. There's been any backup in January, I should say. It feels like there's been a lot of negativity around Arsenal lately. And going into this game, it felt like it almost felt like it would be a foregone conclusion that we'd be toothless up front. And to be fair, for the first sort of 70 minutes, we probably were, The starting 11 was kind of what most Arsenal fans would have predicted. Raya in goal, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Miles Lewis-Skelly, midfield three of Partey, Rice and Ødegaard, and then the front three, which was our only sort of starting attackers left, which were Sterling, Nwaneri and Trossard down the middle. Now, Nwaneri was I would probably agree with TNT Sport here in the UK that he was probably the man of the match today. Like, I think he was the only one that was trying to create things, trying to get on the ball, trying to put balls into the box and stuff like that. On the whole, I don't think the team performed badly. I don't think this was a bad performance. I think even if it had finished 0-0 or Leicester had beaten us, I wouldn't necessarily say that we were bad. I just think the lack of attacking options and the lack of sort of, particularly like players like Sterling being out of form and, Trossard not really hitting the heights he did last season or earlier on in this season. I felt like we were sort of like, playing with only one attacker up front, if that makes any sense. But I thought for the most part we defended really well. And to be fair to Leicester, for most of the game they defended really well. But I think what won us the game here is a bit of ingenuity from Mikel Arteta. There's going to be people that whoever comes across this video over the next few days will probably lambast me for saying that, but I think it was. Sterling was obviously the weak link in the attacking front. He takes him off and brings on Nwaneri and Merino, who he played down the middle. Literally, as soon as 3 minutes after Nwaneri and Merino comes on, Nwaneri puts a brilliant ball in the box, and Merino's there on the end of it. And he's a tall, handy player, and he knew exactly. It was almost as if he knew exactly what to do. But I should also mention a few moments before that, there was also chances that Leicester had. Leicester had a chance in the first half in DD. And then, second half, they pretty much had an open goal that was, Ayew put it through for Bobby De Cordova-Reid. And if it wasn't for Lewis-Skelly's boot, we probably would have been 1-0 down. But going back to when the goals came, it's like Merino just knew what to do. And then we picked the ball up just inside our half for the second goal. About 6 minutes later, Ødegaard puts in Trossard. Trossard finds Merino. Merino just taps it in. And, out of nowhere comes on and scores this brace. And now there's people talking about, is that the trick up the sleeve that Arteta has to begin playing Merino as that striker? I wouldn't do that, just because teams will expect it going forward. They'll expect to have Merino up front, and will probably learn how to deal with it. But I think that changed the game. Somehow that changed the game, that a central midfielder gets put up front and he goes and scores a brace. And that was the difference, to be honest, between us drawing and losing that game. I don't think in terms of I don't know. I mean, it felt like there wasn't too much that Leicester had up front. There wasn't. I mean, Vardy was a little bit dangerous here and there, but he wasn't like. I didn't feel like the defense and the goalkeeper were that under threat throughout this game. But that was the difference. Merino was the difference here. With a couple of half chances from Nwaneri, the ball in from Nwaneri, two-man Merino, and we somehow managed to get a win out of a game that a lot of people, in fact, I think the whole of the footballing world, both our own fans and pundits and fans across the board, thought we were going to drop points in this game. And, as I said, for 78 minutes, it looked like we probably would have dropped points. I haven't really spoken too much since, because when I recorded that, my test at doing a new style of preview for the Leicester game, the Liverpool-Everton game, the Everton-Liverpool game hadn't finished yet. And it wasn't until after I'd finished recording, I think it was about 40 minutes to an hour later, I checked the Premier League app on my phone and it's like, oh, Tarkowski late strike earns Everton a point. It's like, oh shit. So we've got an opportunity here to at least narrow the gap. And this was also big in that sense as well, because Liverpool dropped points. There's a lot of controversy around that game. There's been a lot of, again, Michael Oliver was involved. They feel like he threw the game in order for Everton to get back into it. Whether you believe that or not is another thing. But to be honest, we, regardless of what's been going on with us, with all the injuries to Havertz, to Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, and the fact that we still baffles me until today. It still angers me to some extent that we didn't sign anybody in January. We still had to go out there and do a job, and we've now narrowed the points gap down to 4. Now I know Liverpool play Wolves tomorrow at Anfield, which will probably, in all honesty, extend that back to 9 points. No, hang on. They're on 57 at the moment, aren't they? Or 50? I think it's 57. They're on. Yeah, 50. Hang on. Yeah, 57, and we're on 53. So if they win, they'll go up to 60. They'll be. Yeah, they'll go on to 60. We're on 53. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They'll be 7 points. Sorry, they'll be 7 points ahead of us. Because I don't think Wolves are going to get anything out of that. So that's probably going to be the case by the next round of fixtures. And then we've got West Ham next Saturday in the 3 o'clock kickoff. So yeah, all we've got to do now. I mean, I don't think we're going to win the league, but I think all we've got to do is try and get ourselves at least within a chance of, or as close to Liverpool as possible. Because it's all about staying in that top 4. Or for me, it's all about breaking even this season now. Maybe there might be some luck in getting through in the Champions League. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I also think that it's all about just maintaining that position that we had last season, trying not to fall too far behind Liverpool, because I don't think we're going to win the league. I think that there's too many games left that we can drop points in between now and the end of the season. If I look at like the final fixtures, West Ham is a game we could drop points in. We lost to them at home last season. Nottingham Forest is going to be a difficult game. Man United at Old Trafford, regardless of the fact that they've been absolutely piss poor this season, I can see them being up for that game and making it difficult for us. Chelsea at home, again, they've sort of dropped off a little bit recently, but I still think that they're dangerous on the day. Fulham at home, I think we dropped points to last season. Everton away is always difficult. Brentford at home and Ipswich away are probably the only two where it's like, well, that's definitely winnable. But even those, you know, are going to be difficult. And then you look at the sort of last 3 games of the season: Liverpool away, Newcastle at home, Southampton away. Now, depending on what happens in the relegation zone, the relegation battle. I mean, I think, yeah. As far as I know, I think Southampton are pretty much gone. I don't think there's any way. Yeah, they're on. Yeah, they're gone unless they go on a mad run of form between now and the end of the season. So let's say that does happen. That might become a bigger game. I think it's more likely with Ipswich, and I know Ipswich are a little bit better at home than they are away. So that's a problem. But yeah, Newcastle have had our number this season. I know that their run of form is slightly better at home than it is away, but I still think that they're gonna give us a game, especially if it's between them and, you know, Chelsea and Aston Villa. You know, if there's 3 points difference between those 3 teams to get a Champions League spot, and then obviously Liverpool, who we don't know what state Liverpool are going to be in by May the 10th, but I'm pretty sure, you know, they'll be there. To slightly amend a quote of Pep Guardiola's. But in terms of today, I'm buzzing. I'm over the moon. It may not sound like it, but yeah, I'm over the moon because I really went into this with little to no confidence whatsoever that we were going to do anything in this game. I was expecting a boring boring 0-0 draw. It turned out that like it could have been a bit more exciting 0-0 draw, but luckily Merino was the difference. Those Merino goals may be pretty important going forward. Let's see. It's renewed my hope that all is not lost. The season's not over until it's over, as they say. It's not over until the fat lady sings. Probably not allowed to say that now, but fuck it, I don't care. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I won't be back doing any videos for Armchair Armory next week just because the West Ham game isn't on TV. So there'll just be an EAFC Just the Sim. I think the next game after that is Nottingham Forest. So I believe that will be the next time I do any sort of like preview video or anything like that. Right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Come on, Arsenal. Like and subscribe. Take care and stay safe.